rhythm you just heard is in two different keys. We started out in the key of E minor, but then we switched keys to the key of B minor. Now this video is sort of an extension to the video I put out about a week ago in how to play guitar solos to any rhythm. I wanted to take us a step further and throw in a key change because this can be challenging to lead guitar players, really anyone. We all have our favorite keys that we're used to playing in, so you know those notes pretty well. You know what fits with that key. E minor, for example, in standard tuning. Well, that's pretty typical for rock and heavy metal, maybe even A minor, but we're switching keys to B minor. And it could be any key that you change to. The point is, the notes that's going to fit in that key naturally are going to change. By the way, there is a full backing track for you to play along with. It's the same rhythm that I jammed to in the beginning, so that's coming to you at the end, so get ready to write some scorching solos to that. So the first progression, and I like to do this when I'm just, practicing, by the way. I like to just throw out, 3 or 4 chords and make a progression and just kind of play along with that. This first progression, though, is in the key again of E minor, and it goes like this. So basically an E power chord. We're in the key of E minor, but an E power chord, a D power chord, a C power chord. So we talked about that in that video that I mentioned earlier, okay? And again, I'll have a link to that video as well in the description of this video, so you can go back and watch that later. But we talked about how to find the notes that fit within that progression. And what I encourage you to do is just take the bar chord, E minor in this case, we know that all of those notes we just played will fit in this key. So we've got several to work with there. Now, what I encourage you to do at that point, and I talked about this in the last video, I know I'm going over this again, but it's important because this is a very easy way to discover those notes that are going to fit within that key, is just then finding which notes, the immediate notes, the closest notes to the notes you're already playing, finding which one of those fit. And a good way to do that, just training your ears. I know we can talk about theory and learning skills and all that, and I don't discourage that at all, guys, but I also want you to train your ears to hear what sounds good to you and what doesn't. And this is one of the ways that you can do that. Again, we're just finding the immediate notes that are closest to the ones we're already playing. So we know if we play this chord, if you play the bar chord, or even better yet, play that 3-chord progression. Played all 3 chords there, and again, we're just making this up, guys. You can make up whatever progression you want, what sounds cool to you. You guys know I encourage you to do that. And then we followed that up with the bar chord. So you're hearing these notes, and I want you to soak this in, okay? Soak it in like a sponge, right? You're hearing all of these notes, so now start to venture out to the closest notes that are where you're at already, okay? So okay, I already know that note I just played, and I did this on purpose because I want you to train your ears to hear what sounds relevant to the progression. Now, let me back up just a second here, and I don't want to confuse you. Just because certain notes might fit in the key naturally, because they're part of that key, doesn't mean you can't play other stuff. You may play a note that doesn't fit, and of course you get into playing exotic scales and that sort of thing, but a note on scales, you don't really want to play a scale as a guitar solo because then it's just going to sound like you're practicing scales, and that's not what we're doing here. I want you to come up with something that's creative and that really means something to you. Don't just play a scale. Again, I'm not discouraging you learning scales, I'm not discouraging you practicing scales, but I want you to take things a step deeper, okay? This is where you're developing, and I talk about this almost in every video. You are developing your own style and sound. You're not trying to sound like that person, or anyone else. It's sounding like you. What's in here? What's inside as you go over the techniques and nail these down? What's inside? I want you to bring that out onto this instrument. So again, back to this. We're going to mess around with the notes, and I want you to hear, okay? Use your ears and train your ears to hear what sounds, what fits. Now, even better, play along with the backing track. Again, we're going to do that at the end here. That's coming up, okay? But let's go over this just quickly, and then we're going to change keys, okay? So you see how I just gradually moved up the fretboard here. I didn't really go off the beaten path too far, not that you can't. Again, we want to make this as easy as possible so that it's digestible, like bite by bite. Does that make sense? I want you to just go one step at a time. Okay, we're playing some stuff that fits in that key there. We've got it. And remember, we talked about going from, like the D and the C. You can make those notes within that bar chord fit as well, right? Okay, so we know those notes are going to fit within this key of E minor as well. And just go back through the progression. And then go back to finding the notes that fit that, okay? That's one way, again, how you can train your ears. Now, let's change keys. So we go from that E minor progression to the B minor progression. Now, B minor is not really that far off. You've got the B note within the key of E minor. However, playing in the key of B minor, that progression we're about to play, your notes, or some of your notes rather, are going to change a little bit. So some of those notes that you were playing in the key of E minor, well, they're not going to naturally fit. They won't naturally sound quite right to you when you play in this key here. So here's our progression. Really the same thing, but just different key. So we would essentially repeat that same exercise that we did with the starting note, or the starting chord rather, the B minor. We've got these notes here. What we did there was, I'm up here in this area, but then I move all the way down here because little by little, I'm testing notes to see, or hear rather, what fits, okay? That's what we're doing. And again, you can go through the same exercise with the other chords within that progression. See, I played the regular G chord, then I played the bar chord G chord. Now, one more thing I want you to do is, since our B minor is way up here, what if we also play the B minor on the higher notes down here? Well, guess what? We just found we just found a box of notes. It's kind of like a box of chocolates, you know. We just found another box of notes, or like the little prize you get in the cereal box. Now we've got all these other notes we know we can work with. So on that note, I want you to play along with this backing track. And I've got some other stuff after that I want to share with you, some updates real quick, so hang around for that. So here's your backing track to jam along with. First of all, let me know in the comments if this video helps you, if this style of lesson here, if this truly helps you. My goal for you is not just to learn a bunch of skills. Again, guys, I'm not saying you shouldn't learn skills. I'm not knocking learning theory. I think all those things have their place. They're important. What I will say to that, though, is do not let anyone tell you that there's only one way to do something, because there is not. There's only the way that works best for you. And my goal for you watching this video and all the videos on my channel, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support on this channel. We just turned over 90,000 subscribers here, so I'm very appreciative. I'm extremely grateful for you. But my goal, my purpose here, being on YouTube, is to help you develop your own style. Your own style of playing. What I want for you is when you pick up your guitar and start playing a guitar solo or even a rhythm or anything, I want the people around you to know it's you. I want the people that listen to your music, they know that that's you, that's Susie, that's John, that's Eric, okay? I want them just to hear it's like, okay, we know where that's coming from. We know who that is. The great guitar players like Joe Satriani, Malmsteen, you know, Slash. I mean, Slash is not like a speed player. He doesn't play a lot of fast stuff, but guess what? Within those first two, maybe three notes, you know exactly who it is. I would say it doesn't even really have a whole lot to do with tone. Maybe that's part of it. I would say it's more of the style of playing that you hear. You know, Joe Satriani could play through almost any amplifier, but you're going to know who it is. So that's what I want for you, and that's the purpose of these videos. As you're learning the techniques, as you're learning, again, this is very important to train your ears. You're learning how to determine through hearing what fits and what doesn't. But don't take on a method just because someone else told you that you have to or you should. You know at the end of the day what works best for you. You know, when I was in school, I wasn't the one who got all the good grades. Actually, I was kind of lucky to get a C minus. I've never considered myself an intellectual. You know, some people learn better by the textbook, and then you got people like me that I just picked up the guitar and started playing. Sure, I learned my chords. I got the Mel Bay chord book back in the day, but I quickly ditched learning other songs. I would learn bits and pieces here and there, but I just got bored with it, you know. And I'm like, I just want to make stuff up, and that's what I started doing, and that's how I learned, and that's how I practice and play here today. I'm no one famous, obviously, but I've got 5 albums under my belt, and I've played in several bands, and I play live music and all of that, so I'm grateful to be doing all of that, and to be able to be a musician who makes a living off of being a musician. I'm grateful for that, right? But I just say that, I share my story because I don't want you to feel like that you have to succumb to what someone else tells you you have to or you must do, right? You know what's best for you, and you know what methods you learn best from. So I just want to leave you with that. Again, I hope this style of lesson, I know it's not for everyone, I get that, but I hope that it helps you, and if you watched this far along with it, thank you so much. Now lastly, yes, I am developing a lead guitar course. I've been talking about this for a few months now. I've been putting a lot of time and thought into this and the creation process, so it's not something that I'm just going to jumble together and throw out there. I'm really thinking this through as I create, and I'll be sharing more on YouTube with you along the way. By the way, if you don't have my free practice guide called Metal Riffs and Licks, go ahead and grab a copy of that, because I always send the first updates to my email subscribers. You'll be on my email then. I always send you something encouraging each week, by the way, as well. A lot of you appreciate that, so thank you. But there's a link to my free practice guide in the description of this video. Check that out. And guys, as always, keep it metal and keep playing music.